Intel motherboards are all the talk at CeBIT 2012. Ivy Bridge launch is just around the corner. Z77 motherboards are going to arrive in plenty for supply, and Gigabyte, as you'd expect, has plenty of them. I'm joined by Stu from Gigabyte. Stu, you've got a whole wall of upcoming Intel motherboards, so talk us through some of your favourite picks.
Well, first of all, we've got our high-end offering, which is, of course, aimed at gamers. This is part of our G1 Killer series, the latest member. It's known as the G1 Sniper 3. As you'd expect, it's got onboard audio, similar class of audio that you get from a discrete sound card. In this case, it's the new Creative Soundcore 3D chip, which again is joined by Japanese Nichicon capacitors and has an IM shield here to stop your electromagnetic interference. We've also got here, you've got dual killer and Intel Gigabit Ethernet. So for gamers, we believe that they like to have the option of those two, because you have the controllability of the killer chip, but then you have a very popular chip with the Intel Gigabit chip.
Okay, that's one of your top of the range Z77 motherboards. Sure. There's actually a motherboard you haven't got on display here.
That's right.
The G1 Sniper M3.
Unfortunately, at the moment we are displaying the M3, which is a micro ATX version of this board. The specs on it exactly the same, but the idea is to try and give that same high-class gaming, 3D gaming experience on a smaller form factor, because we think a lot of DIY builders are very interested in building smaller, more portable gaming machines that they can take to LAN parties, take to their friend's house, and move around a lot easier.
Okay, and that's going to be the first G-series motherboard.
It's going to be the very first, yeah, the very first G1 Killer and micro ATX form factor, sure.
Okay, well, we'll have a look at that soon. As soon as we've got footage of that, we'll bring it on Hexus. And moving down further through the range.
Well, further through the range here, you see the UD5 Wi-Fi, which will be bundled. The weird choice. I mean, this will be available without the Wi-Fi card, but certain SKUs, certain models will be available with a PCIe Wi-Fi card, which in this case will be a dual band N-capable Wi-Fi card, also with Bluetooth 4.0. But what's interesting to note about all of these ATX boards in our 7 series is that they have the mSATA capability. So basically you can get a very small and relatively affordable mSATA SSD. You can add that directly to the board and use that to enjoy Intel Smart Response technology, which will speed up your whole system, kind of like you've spent the money on a more expensive SSD.
Okay, now your UD5 range has always been popular, yeah. And one of your colleagues told me earlier that he had to play with this, and with a bit of liquid nitrogen, he managed to get Ivy Bridge up to 6.4 gigahertz in no time at all. Ivy Bridge?
Never heard of it. What's that?
Is that the kind of overclocking performance
joking aside, really at the moment we can't say too much about benchmarks or figures or anything like that, but I believe that the word is on the street that, as you say, that it will indeed perform well in overclocking. As you'd expect, because it's 22 nanometer. The reduction from, well, what is it, 32 to 22 is obviously going to have some impact on overall efficiency, which will aid overclocking and make overclocking even better.
Okay, so we've got a whole column of high-end boards there, yeah. But moving over here...
Well, if I could just also mention, we have overclocking features also on all the top 3 boards. You'll find they each have a power switch, reset, clear CMOS, and a debugging LED on all of these, which is something that the feedback we're getting is that it's not just for serious overclockers, but for people who want to be able to play around with their system. These are great. So we've endeavoured to make sure they're available on the top 3 SKUs there.
Okay, and then
of course there's H77, which is a more affordable way to access the next generation Intel CPUs. Which you can see, this is the D3H. And then moving on, we've got the B75 chipset, which B stands for business. And again, you'll find both of these have the mSATA, so make a note of that. But the great thing about the B75 series is that Intel is also bundling some software aimed directly at business users, particularly small business users, basically from 1 to 99 PCs. We find that a lot of companies, they don't have a dedicated IT administrator. So Intel is bundling with this chipset 6 utilities that they call the Small Business Advantage, and that is aimed at making it much easier for small business owners to manage their IT environment. So things like they can lock out certain classes of USB stick. They can, data theft would be a major concern.
And useful in school environments too.
I guess, yeah, school and enterprise environments. Although it isn't quite the vPro level, it's a more affordable. It's a free bundle, in fact. So whereas vPro something you have to pay for would be more enterprise level, I guess.
Okay, and for your mainstream users, you've got the D3H here, which
Yeah,
I think is going to be quite popular.
Yeah, and I don't doubt it. I think this would be a very popular board with people who want to enjoy the next generation platform with all the bells and whistles.
Excellent. Okay, Stu, thank you very much for that rundown.
Cheers, no problem.
Those are a wide range of Gigabyte motherboards at CeBIT 2012.